Are nanobubbles the secret to optimal health, wellness, and mental performance? Over 1,000 scientific studies say yes. Molecular hydrogen, or nanobubbles, reduce the number one cause of cognitive decline, premature aging, and tired-looking skin by destroying the most damaging free radicals. Vital reaction hydrogen tablets transform ordinary water, or any non-carbonated drink, into cell-optimizing hydrogen water. If you'd like to try hydrogen for the next 30 days risk-free, go to tryvitalreaction.com. Use the discount code GENIUS to save 20% on your first order. Note, all orders are protected with a 1-year money-back guarantee and include free shipping. So use the code GENIUS to save 20% on your first purchase at tryvitalreaction.com.
Forget frequently asked questions,
common sense, common knowledge, or Google.
How about advice from a real genius? 95% of people in any profession are good enough to be qualified and licensed. 5%
go above and beyond.
They become very good at what they do, but only
0.1%
are real geniuses. Richard Jacobs has made it his life's mission to find them for you. He hunts down and interviews geniuses in every field: sleep science, cancer, stem cells, ketogenic diets, and more. Here come the geniuses. This is the Finding Genius Podcast
with Richard Jacobs.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Finding Genius Podcast, now part of the Finding Genius Foundation. Today, my guest is Dr. Adam Trainor. He's the CEO of Vital Reaction. They're a company that specializes in molecular hydrogen products. Their website is vital-reaction.com. And Dr. Trainor is a chiropractor. He also has a Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition. He's worked as a pain management specialist in the VA system and a DoD as well, Department of Defense hospital system. And he's been a clinical nutritionist in private practice as well. So Adam, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here, Richard.
Yeah, so tell me a bit about your journey. How did you even become aware of molecular hydrogen, and what were you doing before this?
Sure. Yeah, great question. So I've been working in nutrition and pain management for a long time. I'm a chiropractor by training, and then also went on for further training. As you said, I have a master's in clinical nutrition. I've always been fascinated about health, the body. From a young age, it's been a real passion of mine. And so I knew pretty early on that this is what I was going to do professionally. I've always been really, curious about what makes us tick, what makes the human body work, and how can we, work to improve it through nutrition, through the things that we do, in our lives habitually. So as you said, I worked in a while in the VA system and then worked in DoD at Walter Reed, and that was great. I was pretty limited, I guess, in what I was able to do there nutritionally, but it was really a wonderful experience from kind of the pain management side of things. And it really helped me understand, I think, a lot of the chronic challenges that a lot of people deal with that are poorly handled, I think, by the traditional medical system, particularly when it comes to chronic pain. And so in private practice, I got very interested in nutrition and understanding. I mean, our bodies are these giant, chemistry experiments, right? There's just a lot of chemical reactions happening at all times. And what I came to realize is that the foods we eat, the supplements we take, everything we put into our body has really powerful, sometimes hormonal and cell signaling potential. So literally everything you put into your body is sending some message to some group of cells in your body to do something or to not do something. And that was really interesting to me, because if we can kind of control those inputs, what sort of outputs can we affect and what kind of impact can that have on people? And it's been really fascinating to learn that you can really make huge changes in people's lives and their health, even in their kind of emotional, emotional well-being, just by changing, the foods they eat, different supplementation, making sure that they're getting what they need. And so that's been really interesting to me. I came to hydrogen kind of inadvertently. I was actually looking into a different modality and inadvertently stumbled across the research for hydrogen. And I have to be honest, the first time I read about molecular hydrogen or hydrogen water, which is the common method of administration, I thought it was total BS. The kind of water industry is pretty shady. There's a lot of people hawking, a lot of snake oil. So I was super skeptical. But the reason I got into it is because I was working with a company that had I was working with them on a separate product, but they happened to sell a water filtration machine. And they told me that they were getting all kinds of feedback from their customers about strange results they were getting from this water filtration machine that, should have nothing to do with the product they were selling. People who were talking about improvements in inflammation and, decreased pain with arthritis and, some very specific stuff that they kind of heard the same stories again and again. And so I was really curious and wanted to dig in more. And figure out what's going on there. And it turned out that this machine was inadvertently creating hydrogen water because it was an electrolysis machine. It was using a chemical reaction that creates like a water with a very high concentration of hydrogen, which led me down this rabbit hole. What the heck is molecular hydrogen? I'd never heard of it. And it turns out it's the best research supplement you've never heard of. When I started to go down this rabbit hole, I realized that there's literally over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies. There's not all of those are clinical trials, certainly, though there are a ton of clinical trials, but the sheer volume of research for molecular hydrogen is pretty astounding.
What is hydrogen water? Is it just water with extra hydrogen in it somehow, or are you
basically this
product of drinking it, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you've probably heard of hydrogen, right? Most of us have. It's really actually the most common element, right? Super ubiquitous, smallest element in the universe, and it's everywhere. It's all around us. Most water, when you drink it, is H2O, unless you put something in there. It doesn't have much else in it. But you get the idea that we can kind of infuse water with a gas like CO2, like carbonated water. So just like you can infuse water with CO2, you can infuse water with hydrogen gas. The most common method of administration for hydrogen. You can also inhale it directly. There's machines that let you just inhale the hydrogen gas. And we actually also sell a device that lets you kind of use our hydrogen water to create a nano mist for topical applications. But for I guess, hydrogen and what molecular hydrogen is. So for most of medical history, we thought hydrogen was just an inert gas. There's a lot of inert gases. They don't seem to, have much effect on physiology. And then in 2007, really the seminal paper was published by a couple of researchers in Japan, published this article in the journal Nature that showed empirically that hydrogen gas in the body in sufficient concentration is actually a really interesting and novel antioxidant. And I just super quick to, I guess, help your audience understand. So antioxidants are the antidote to free radicals, right? Free radicals are these reactive molecules that are produced all the time. We make them as a byproduct of metabolic waste. So kind of just like when you burn gas in your car, you make smoke, you have a toxic byproduct. Free radicals are created by the foods we eat. If we eat foods that are high in certain saturated fats or certain chemicals, processed foods are really full of these chemicals that will trigger the creation of free radicals. Environmental exposure. Things as benign as the sun, even just being out in the sun, you're getting a little bit of UV exposure, you're creating some free radicals to, most of us live in a modern environment with, whether we are aware of it or not, like a ton of, exogenous pollution. So we're kind of constantly being bombarded with different things that cause the production of free radicals. And the reason free radicals are bad is because free radicals are unstable molecules. And the reason they're unstable is because they're missing an electron. Molecules hate missing electrons. And so they will go interact with other molecules in your body to steal electrons to make themselves whole. And this creates this kind of chain reaction that damages cells. It's very destructive. It can damage your DNA. And when we look at most of the actual physical damage in the body that happens in any number of pathologies, everything ranging from, arthritis to cancer to aging itself, a lot of the actual physical damage that's happening at the cellular level is due to the overproduction of free radicals. There's just too many free radicals and our bodies can't keep up. Now, our bodies do produce natural antioxidants. And so in a perfect world, you have free radicals produced, your body makes antioxidants, you neutralize them, you maintain homeostasis, right? And that's the ideal. Unfortunately, what happens as we age, our ability to produce antioxidants diminishes. And if we're doing things like eating a standard American diet or living in, these often kind of polluted environments, we're often being exposed to more free radicals than our bodies can keep pace with. And then when you layer on top of that, different kinds of chronic disease. So there's, a plethora of different kinds of lifestyle-related chronic diseases that are very common in our society. And often what you see at the root of a lot of these chronic diseases is chronic overproduction of free radicals. And that has to do with kind of a broken thermostat in our body. So the way that the healing process in your body works, and inflammation is kind of a dirty word. It's poorly understood, I think. But another word you could easily substitute for inflammation is healing, right? Inflammation is healing. You need some amount of inflammation in order to induce healing. And inflammation is the word that we use to describe, this complex process that our body goes through. So say you really basically cut your finger, right? So you cut your finger, there's damage at the site. Your body's going to generate inflammation to fix this problem. And what that means is you're going to send blood to the area, and that blood's full of all of these chemical signals that are telling your cells to start rebuilding themselves to fix the physical damage. It's full of white blood cells from your immune system, deal with any pathogens. And this is the process that happens anytime you have any kind of injury, real or imagined, right? And these white blood cells from your immune system, one of the things that they have is basically like guns loaded with free radicals, right? And they're going to use these free radicals to kill any invaders. So the initial injury produced free radicals, which was the trigger for the immune system. The immune system comes in and throws down a bunch more free radicals to kill invaders. And in a perfect world, your antioxidant system jumps in, the sprinklers come on, douse the fire, everyone's happy. What tends to happen in chronic inflammation and chronic disease is the thermostat's kind of broken. And so you have the initial production of free radicals, and then your immune system comes down and lays down a bunch more free radicals, but the antioxidant system isn't able to keep up. So there's too many free radicals left over, which tells your body, hey, there's still a problem here. So you send more immune cells with more free radicals, which triggers more inflammation, which triggers more free radicals. And it's this kind of self-perpetuating feedback loop that is really tough to interrupt. And that's really like what's behind a lot of chronic disease. So free radicals are bad. Antioxidants are good. In a perfect world, we make enough to, naturally to keep up with the free radicals that are produced. In the real world, that is often not the case. So antioxidants supplementation is a really smart step in some cases that can really help a lot of people. The challenge is that the research on antioxidants has been super mixed. Sometimes they seem to help, sometimes they seem to hurt. And there's a lot of reasons for that I'll get into shortly. But what really makes hydrogen special, I guess, is that it really breaks that paradigm. So hydrogen, we've discovered, is a really interesting and unique antioxidant.
Are nanobubbles the secret to optimal health, wellness, and mental performance? Over 1,000 scientific studies say yes. Molecular hydrogen, or nanobubbles, reduce the number one cause of cognitive decline, premature aging, and tired-looking skin by destroying the most damaging free radicals. Vital reaction hydrogen tablets transform ordinary water, or any non-carbonated drink, into cell-optimizing hydrogen water. If you'd like to try hydrogen for the next 30 days risk-free, go to tryvitalreaction.com. Use the discount code GENIUS to save 20% on your first order. Note, all orders are protected with a 1-year money-back guarantee and include free shipping. So use the code GENIUS to save 20% on your first purchase at tryvitalreaction.com.
What are some of the common complaints that molecular hydrogen that you offer can possibly help with? And then I'd like to ask you about the mechanism for that.
Sure, absolutely. So in the same way, I don't want to pretend like hydrogen's some kind of panacea, you know what I mean? Because it's obviously not. And there's still a lot of research to be done. And it's unlikely I think it's going to help every condition under the sun. But much like inflammation is a root cause, and so if you have something that affects inflammation, it can affect a lot of different things in your body. Antioxidants, free radicals, and oxidative stress, or the imbalance between them, is similar. And so hydrogen actually affects all kinds of different processes. I think that the ones that are best researched, so there's really good research showing that hydrogen can be very preventative and even therapeutic for neurodegenerative diseases. So things like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. Hydrogen has been shown to be very effective at protecting, especially neural tissue, in the absence of oxygen. So what that means empirically is that it can really help protect brain damage during a stroke, similar events like that. Hydrogen's been shown to be very effective in helping different autoimmune conditions, particularly different kinds of arthritises. So psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and even, although it's very similar very different pathology, just regular arthritis, degenerative joint disease. Really good research looking at different metabolic conditions. So diabetes can help with weight loss. So really wide range of application.
What are the common ones or the most efficacious ones? And how do I take it? Let's say someone comes to you and they have problem X. What would be the top issue that people come to you for, and how would they use hydrogen to help themselves?
Sure, great question. So we sell a few different options. So the most common, easiest thing to get into is hydrogen water. And what we do is we sell tablets that can be dissolved into any non-carbonated beverage to infuse it with hydrogen gas. So you drop one of these tablets in a glass of water, and very quickly it effervesces and infuses the beverage with hydrogen gas, and you just drink it down. And then we also sell hydrogen inhalation machines. So they're pretty small, portable, compact, desktop size. You can set up on your coffee table or your desk while you're working, and use a nasal cannula and just inhale hydrogen freely. Those are great too. The biggest difference really is dose. Like an hour in one of the inhalers is the equivalent of taking an entire bottle of tablets. So it really depends on kind of what you're looking to use it for, and I guess how acute, the situation is. In terms of what most people see benefits for, so chronic pain is a big one. Can be for a lot of different reasons, but people dealing with chronic pain see real benefit from both drinking the water and taking the inhaler. For metabolic issues, so blood sugar control, weight loss, stuff like that, I find people respond better to drinking the hydrogen water. Stuff more neurological. So if you are stroke rehab or looking for just to improve your own kind of cognitive performance, the inhaled seems to work pretty well. A lot of people report like increased like mental sharpness, mental acuity. Really good research, actually. A recent RCT just came out showing hydrogen actually outperforms caffeine and improving cognitive performance when you're sleep deprived. So really accessible, easy to get into.
So are people drinking a solution with extra hydrogen in it? Do you crack a tablet in there, or is it releasing a gas and you're breathing that, or how does it work?
So the way that it's kind of like when you drink a glass of soda, right? You're getting a big like dose of CO2. So similarly, the way our tablets work is they're primarily elemental magnesium mixed with malic acid. And when you combine magnesium, malic acid, and water, it creates a chemical reaction that actually cleaves the H2O. So you split the hydrogen from the oxygen in the water. And so you're infusing the water with a bunch of hydrogen gas. You can actually see it within the cup. You'll see this like white cloud of gas appear in the water.
Okay. And then, so do people, I guess, put their mouth over the cup as the gas is released and breathe it in, or are they drinking the liquid as well?
You drink the water. Yeah. It's basically dissolved in the water. Yeah.
Oh, but it's not where it's like liberating tons of hydrogen, and you could also breathe that in as it comes off.
There is a little bit off gas, but the truth is you'll get more if you just, drink it, because there's more in the water than is being released. Now it will diffuse out, it will diffuse out of the solution. So imagine that you opened a can of soda that started going flat, pretty much immediately. It's kind of like that. So you want to drink it pretty quickly, but yeah, it will stay in solution long enough for you to drink it.
What does it taste like? Is it like a sour soda, or what is it like?
It doesn't have much flavor. If you what I recommend, it can have like a little bit of a metallic flavor from magnesium. And so what I recommend people do is a little squeeze of lemon, because it tastes great, but it also actually speeds up the chemical reaction by making the water a little bit more acidic.
Okay, so you drink it, and then how long until people feel something? Do they burp because of the gas in there, or does their voice get a higher pitch like helium?
You don't get there's no healing effects. You can get a hydrogen burp or two. It doesn't really taste like much, but it depends. So what I would say is that people experience the effects kind of inversely to like how badly they need it, right? So if you are in a situation where you're experiencing a lot of oxidative stress, you're experiencing a lot of chronic pain or some sort of disease state, people tend to respond pretty quickly. If you're taking it more for the wellness benefits where, you just want to feel a bit better, have more energy, stuff like that, it might take dosing for a week or two before you really start to notice the effects. But to be perfectly honest, people that are really dealing with the kinds of things that hydrogen's been shown to help, honestly experience benefits pretty quickly.
But what do they notice? What specific conditions seem to be helped the most or the fastest by it? And what do people notice?
Yep. So the three things I would say I hear that most commonly people respond to very quickly are chronic pain. So typically people dealing with any kind of chronic pain will notice benefits pretty quickly. With the inhalers, like honestly, within a single treatment, like within 20 minutes of being on an inhaler, people typically notice benefits. For energy, people looking to take hydrogen to improve their energy levels because it's got a real significant impact on mitochondria. That's pretty quick, not always in the first dose, but like within a couple of days, you'll typically notice improvements in your overall energy levels. That also correlates pretty strongly with sleep. A lot of people report improvements in sleep quality and ability for falling asleep, often after the first dose. And then the last kind of most common would be improved kind of cognitive performance. So increased mental acuity, feeling more alert, more sharp. And that's relatively quick. I would usually say it probably takes about a couple of weeks of regularly taking the product.
I wonder if you can make a product like hydrogen coffee, where you put it in your coffee and it still tastes like a coffee, but it's better,
We're working on it. Certainly you can drop our tablets in the coffee, and there isn't much flavor. So the coffee really does overpower it. So you can do that.
Yeah. Well, have you found that there are certain drinks or certain things you could add to it to enhance or change its effect?
Not to change the effect. I find that if you drop it into things that taste good, like juice, people like it more, easier to drink, but then you drink more sugar. The only thing that really changes the effect, like I said, is if you change the acidity of the water. So if you're using a more acidic beverage, like an orange juice or a lemonade or something like that, the pills will dissolve a lot faster.
Oh, they dissolve faster, but then it goes quote unquote flat faster, right? The hydrogen leaves quicker.
Yeah, because you are speeding up the chemical reaction. In
That
either
was
case, you'd want to drink it within about 10 or 15 minutes of making it. It's going to go flat pretty quick.
okay. Yeah, and H2 is even, single hydrogens are tiny, but H2 is still small.
That's right.
So I'm surprised that what makes it stay in solution even for 10, 15 minutes? Like, do you have to do this with a cold beverage, or can it be hot, or will that cause the H2 to fly out immediately?
That's a great question. It will last longer in cold water, right? Because hotter water, faster chemical reactions. So yeah, I mean, H2 is like a very stable molecule, and the way that we're creating with the tablets, it's a hydrolysis reaction, and so you're actually liberating H2 that's already in water. So it will eventually, basically, it's a gas. It's going to diffuse, right? So you're basically just like it's a clock against the diffusion gradient.
Okay. Are there any other conditions that people are using this for that seem, I don't know, inexplicable to you, and why it helps? Any other off-target effects that you've seen that are useful?
So everyone that takes hydrogen regularly tends to lose weight. And I've seen that in study after study. It's like a kind of a side note, like a significant other finding, subject BMI, decrease. That has been seen with other antioxidants. So I don't know if it's special to hydrogen or something we just don't understand about antioxidants yet. But everyone that takes hydrogen does seem to lose weight. That's interesting. And then not everyone, but almost everyone that uses the inhaler tends to report improvements in vision. And that's never been studied, but the only thing I can think of is your eyes are, number 2 or 3 in the body for oxygen consumption, and therefore are exposed to high levels of reactive oxygen species. And so the only possible mechanism I can think of is that perhaps the antioxidant activity of hydrogen is, saving your eyes somewhat. But that is one that I myself experience. Like if I use the inhaler kind of late in the day after I've been on the computer all day, I definitely notice like a big improvement in my eyesight.
Yeah, that's crazy. How long have you, well, either you or someone else, but have you known anyone that's been taking hydrogen daily, let's say for a year or more? And what are they?
Yeah, so we've been in business for about 4 years, and I know plenty of people who've been on the product, since before that time. And I do think that it's like anything. At some point, you start to experience diminishing returns because your body starts to adapt. And so I do think people tend to do better with kind of like cycles, right? So you take it for 4 to 6 weeks, take a couple of weeks off, and then take it again. That does seem to be the best kind of way to use it long term.
And the inhaler is for what kind of situations? Is it like an asthma inhaler? You go and you breathe?
No, yeah, not exactly. It's more like if you've ever seen like an oxygen tank and someone has that kind of clear plastic tubing that they're just kind of breathing. So that clear plastic tubing is what we use. And then the inhaler itself is, I don't know, maybe the personal use one is maybe 10, 12 inches tall, weighs about 5 pounds, and you would sit and they run on distilled water. They're electrolysis machines, so you fill the tank with distilled water, and then the way the machines work is they run an electric current through the water, and that current splits the hydrogen and the oxygen, and so the oxygen is vented out, and then the hydrogen is mixed with ambient air, and then you're just breathing that hydrogen mixed with the ambient air. And a typical treatment time can range anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the machine. We work with a lot of healthcare practitioners. And so we have a lot of practitioners that will use our inhalers in office because, like I said, they're very potent. It's a very high dose. And so you experience results pretty quickly. And so we have a clinical version that practitioners like to use. It's very popular with a lot of different kinds of doctors. And then we sell a home version that you can use while you're watching TV or at work. I have one on my desk and I use it while I'm working. And the biggest difference, like I said, is dose. You get a much higher, more concentrated dose with the inhaler. So if you like the tablets are a great place to start and see what kind of experiences you get. And then if you are experiencing benefits, the inhaler is kind of the next level. What I find clinically people respond best to, like I said, is if you're looking to use hydrogen more for the neurological applications. So if you're looking either as a sort of a preventative tool or potential ancillary treatment for someone that is dealing with some sort of neurodegenerative disease, or dealing with a patient that has had some sort of TBI or stroke, basically.
Are there any contraindications to using hydrogen? Anyone that should use it for a certain reason?
It's a great question. So hydrogen is extremely safe. It's been granted GRAS status by the FDA, which is generally recognized as safe. We've been studying hydrogen since the 1940s. It was used very early on to treat decompression sickness in deep sea divers. And even at levels much higher than anything produced by any of our products, there's never been any toxic effects reported. So as far as we understand, there are no known contraindications. The one thing that I do warn people is that Hydrogen does work. It is a very powerful antioxidant. And so it's important to bear that in mind. And so the biggest place that can have impact is a lot of our medications are designed to alter our homeostasis, right? And something like hydrogen is designed to restore homeostasis. And so I've seen this happen on more than one occasion where a patient is taking some sort of medication to manage their blood sugar, right? If you're on diabetes, you might take a medication to kind of artificially lower your blood sugar. And then one of the explicit effects that hydrogen has, and I've seen it do this any number of times, is that it really does improve blood glucose control, and you'll see blood glucose levels drop, right? And so if you're taking a medication that is making your blood glucose drop, and then you do a hydrogen treatment and your blood glucose further drops, you could inadvertently, induce like a hypoglycemia. So just something I warn people is understand that this does work. And so if you are taking any medications, definitely consult with your healthcare provider, before this, or really any supplement treatment you should. But definitely just bear that in mind.
Okay, that makes sense. So where can people order it? Where do they go?
So our website is vital-reaction.com. You can find all of our products there. We have a really robust blog with a ton of informational content, really digging into the science and helping explain, why this works, and sharing all the research behind the product. And then for your audience, we've also put together a special offer. They can actually visit tryvitalreaction.com, and we're going to give your audience 20% off their first order.
Oh, that's very generous. Yeah, that's excellent. So a typical order is a sleeve of tablets, or what does it look like when they get it?
So bottles of tablets are a 1 month supply. So one bottle comes with 60 tablets. They're intended to be taken twice a day. And we do have a subscription program, so you can order, a single tablet. You get obviously save money if you buy bundles, and then we do have subscriptions if you want to get them delivered regularly.
Okay, very good.
I just want to tell your audience, make sure they use the code GENIUS at checkout to get that 20%.
Okay, very good. They use the code GENIUS to get 20% off at tryvitalreaction.com.
That's right.
Okay, well, very good, Adam. Thanks so much for coming on the call. It's very interesting. I'll have to speak to more people about hydrogen as well, because it sounds like a whole area that I really haven't covered. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Are nanobubbles the secret to optimal health, wellness, and mental performance? Over 1,000 scientific studies say yes. Molecular hydrogen, or nanobubbles, reduce the number one cause of cognitive decline, premature aging, and tired-looking skin by destroying the most damaging free radicals. Vital reaction hydrogen tablets transform ordinary water, or any non-carbonated drink, into cell-optimizing hydrogen water. If you'd like to try hydrogen for the next 30 days risk-free, go to tryvitalreaction.com. Use the discount code GENIUS to save 20% on your first order. Note, all orders are protected with a 1-year money-back guarantee and include free shipping. So use the code GENIUS to save 20% on your first purchase at tryvitalreaction.com.
You've been listening to the Finding Genius podcast with Richard Jacobs. If you like what you hear, be sure to review and subscribe to the Finding Genius podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And want to be smarter than everybody else? Become a premium member at findinggeniuspodcast.com. This podcast is for information only. No advice of any kind is being given. Any action you take or don't take as a result of listening is your sole responsibility. Consult professionals when advice is needed.